Thanks for joining in, everybody. This episode, we're going to be taking a kind of a tricky... Well, I shouldn't say tricky. We're going to be stepping into controversial territory for this particular show. If you've listened to us over the years, you know that when it comes to the 90s, we typically are not very fond of that decade when it comes to horror movies. But this episode, we are talking about a movie that came out at the very beginning of that decade. And we're talking about a movie that was written by Don Mancini, which he wrote all of the movies in this series up until this year. And we are talking about Child's Play 2.
Do you remember the first time you saw this film?
Oh, yeah. I remember seeing this film in the movie theater.
You did?
Oh, yeah.
Did you see it with any of our mutual friends?
No, I did not. No, I saw, this is a kind of a weird bit of history about my life, but for some odd reason, I saw the first 3 Child's Play movies in the theater with my buddy from like 7th and 8th grade. His name was John. And for some odd reason, when I first moved away in the 7th grade, was like must have been like right around the time that Child's Play, or well, not right around, but pretty close to when like Child's Play 1 was coming out, or like the year after or something. But anyway, like, yeah, we saw, for some reason, me and him saw all the first 3 in the theaters.
Yeah, I saw the third one, and I almost thought you were there with me, but I guess you weren't.
I could have been, because I probably saw it a couple of times.
Well, you would have been gone by the time the third one came out.
Right, yeah, but I mean, I don't know if we ever got back together to see it. I have no idea.
Possibly, because I remember a couple of friends of ours that we talk about pretty frequently. I remember seeing that one with them at the old Dunes Theater, and that was the first and probably, now that I think about it, only Child's Play film I saw in the theater.
You know what's weird about the Child's Play movies is, and I don't know if this holds true with you, even though I saw the first 3 Child's Play movies in the movie theater, I never really considered myself a huge Child's Play fan, especially when I was like a teenager. I don't know why that is, and it's weird because when you think about it, I mean, we always talk about Halloween and Friday the 13th and even A Nightmare on Elm Street, which Nightmare on Elm Street almost falls more into the category of Child's Play with me anyway, and I think it does with you too, to where it was almost kind of like, that was after my day, even though when Nightmare on Elm Street came out, we were like 7 and 8. And,
yeah,
you know, I mean, Child's Play came out whenever, like, when did the first one come out? In 88, 89? So, you know, like 12, 13 years old. And, I mean, we should have been at the prime of our horror stuff, and it was like already like, oh man, that movie's for kids.
I know, that's so weird when you think about it, because it seemed like our prime time was probably from like 4th to 6th grade was like that was our like prime. That's what, you know, where we kind of, like, we saw the Halloween movies, the Chainsaw movies, Friday movies, and like, yeah, so by the time Child's Play came back out, it was already kind of late in the game, which was sort of weird when you think about it.
Yeah, it's so weird. I was thinking about that the other day when I was watching it. I don't remember if we talked about this during our actual Child's Play episode that we did. When was that, last year or the year before? When we covered the first one. But Child's Play, and even Child's Play 2, I mean, when you go back and watch those, especially Child's Play, the first Child's Play, as an adult, when you go back and watch it, I mean, that is a damn good horror movie. There are a couple of scenes in that movie where the little kid, Alex Vincent, as Andy, where, I mean, I don't know if he was like that good of an actor when he was a kid, or if there was because there are a few scenes in that movie where there's like just sheer terror in his face. And so you're not sure if, oh, that kid's a really good actor, or man, when they were making this movie, they didn't care about that kid at all, and they just scared the shit out of him.
Yeah, it could be a little bit of both, maybe even.
But even, I mean, when it comes to sequels and stuff, we've talked about it before with in reference to like Jaws and Jaws 2 or Halloween and Halloween 2. I guess you could probably pretty much throw any of the Friday the 13th movies in there after Friday the 13th Part 2. But, when you're looking for just a little bit more of the first one, Child's Play 2 really plays into that sequel realm of, continuation there where it's not exactly the same as the first one, but, it's definitely you could throw on Part 1 and then, oh, you know what I could do with a little bit more Chucky? Pop in Part 2 and, yep, there he is.
Yeah, it does kind of follow that formula, the basic formula of a Child's Play movie, at least the first three, because then obviously things changed up a bit when Bride of Chucky came out. But the first three, basically, there's this doll possessed with the spirit of Charles Lee Ray, and he wants to get out of that doll body, and he needs Andy. He needs Andy's body, and it's basically, the movie starts from him at the beginning, trying to get to Andy and killing people on his way there. And then, and then you get kind of like a climactic ending. Usually the doll gets pretty beat up and cut up and blown up and melted and all kinds of cool stuff along the way. And yeah, so it's kind of funny because it does definitely follows this pattern, this kind of typical plot line, just like, if you took the basic elements of the first three Child's Play movies, you've got basically a template that they use for those, just like the Friday the 13th movies, the basic template of that, you pull away some of the, the things that make each movie a little different, but underneath it, you've got the same structure. So it's kind of cool. Yeah, you're right. It follows that same thing.
Yeah. Did you ever think when we first started this show that you would ever be talking about doll gore on this show? Because I'll tell you, there's, one of the things that I've said several times over the years on several episodes of Horror Heads is you get to certain parts of the movie and you're just kind of like, ugh. Even though it's fake and you're just like, ugh, that's kind of gross. At the end of this movie, when spoiler alert, Chucky melts a little bit. But, there's parts at the end of this movie where it's complete like doll stuff, but you're just kind of like, that's kind of gross. Ugh. Which is kind of weird when you think about it, but look, it's not bloody at all. It's just like melted plastic, but it's still kind of just like, ugh, like cringeworthy almost.
Yeah, the endings of these first three Child's Play movies, and certainly the second one, they really did a good job with the practical effects. And, basically you get to see, Chucky get the main characters get the revenge on Chucky, and they slowly, kind of obliterate him and do all kinds of things to him. And yeah, this one is no different. And it's kind of a cool, kind of a hokey in a sense, like very predictable, I guess, now looking back at it, type of ending. Oh, we're going to end it in the factory. It's so like it almost reminds me of like the Terminator movies, like the first two, especially, where the end of the movie they end up in like some sort of robotics factory. It's like, and then they're fighting. It's kind of the same thing. So, but it's cool. It's a fun ride to get there, and Yeah,
whoever thought that a doll factory would be used as a backdrop for a horror movie?
I will say, though, it's kind of funny that they're able to get into a doll factory after hours and just kind of run around in the warehouse. I know we're starting at the end and moving our way backwards, I guess, with this, but yeah. But like that whole concept of them, like, this kid and this teenage girl are just gonna we're just gonna walk right into this doll factory, and it's midnight, but they're still in production, even though there's nobody on staff except for like one guy.
That is one thing that I have noticed with a lot of stuff when you are over a certain age and you're in your 40s and you're watching these movies, and you probably didn't care when you were a youngster, but you're like, now, come on, that's not realistic at all. I know it's a movie.
Yes,
that's not realistic. Come on, that door is not just going to be wide open. They're not going to walk into a factory.
Yeah, it's so funny you say that, because I was just thinking about Halloween 2. I think I was thinking about it today, actually, and because I was talking to my son about it, and I was saying like how like the new Halloween kind of, it didn't live up to what I was hoping for. I'm going to stick with the first one and then the second one. And I was thinking about the second one for a second. I'm like, I remember as a kid that scene when teenage Lori, for the first time in her life, picks up a gun and just so happens to shoot Michael in both eyeballs, and like is able to do that, like, and like as a kid you're like, yeah, oh, I believe that, yeah, she shot him right, and she didn't even like ding the mask. She was able to shoot each bullet into the eye socket of the mask. It's like, yeah, that could happen. Then you think about it, like, as a 42-year-old, and you're like, what? Wait a second. There's no way. I mean, she would have probably missed every single one of them just because she was nervous while she was shooting that gun, let alone get them exactly twice. But yeah, it's the same thing. It's like you look at it as an adult and like these movies were not, there's a little bit of logic missing. Oh, but that's okay. It's still fun.
Oh yeah, it's definitely fun. But it is funny when you think about that, and that comes up quite a bit, especially like in some of these cheesy B movies. Like we were talking about it during the Toolbox Murders episode, where they were the drill scene, and the guy's like spending all this time like pointing the drill at the camera, like, girl, the door's right there, run. You could have been 3 blocks away by the time he got to you.
Yeah, so you got to kind of put a logic aside for these films. But it was kind of cool seeing this movie again, because this wasn't one that I watched a whole lot. Like back in the day, I think I saw it a handful of times, and I believe I had I think I saw it on HBO or something like that and taped it off of that. And so I'd watch it a few times here and there, but I was never a huge Child's Play fan. I think I liked the original quite a bit, but I watched the sequels as they came, but they weren't things that, I wasn't as obsessed over them as I were some of the other franchises we talked about.
Yeah, I would agree. That was the same way. Like I said, I saw the first 3 in the theaters, and for years, years and years, it was a long time. The only time I saw the original 3 Child's Play movies was in the movie theaters. And I don't know the other sequels. I don't know if when I actually saw, I've seen them, but I don't know if, I don't remember when say Bride of Chucky came out. I didn't see it in a theater, and I don't think it was one of those movies where I was like, ooh, Bride of Chucky's coming on VHS this week. I got to run to the video store and rent it. I think it was more of a, oh, hey, this movie's on USA tonight. I'm going to watch it.
Ah, okay. I remember when it came out in the theater, and I was pretty excited.
Oh, yeah. I don't remember seeing it in the theater.
I didn't see it in the theater. I do remember when it came out to rent. I picked it up pretty quickly. So it was like one of those new releases that back in the videos, the final, well, I guess there was a few more years left, but towards the final video store age, I remember that being in the new releases, and I'm like, oh, I got to grab that and watch it.
Yeah, I might have done that, but I don't remember if I did or not.
I see.
It just wasn't one of those ones at that point. Like I said, I wasn't really, I don't know what it was. I just was never a huge Child's Play fan, which I kind of am almost a little regretful of that, because over the past couple of years, I've watched at least the first one probably 3 or 4 times. It's a great movie. And
yeah, that one's really grown on you.
Oh yeah, I love that one now. I'm like, oh man, it's just so good. It's just well done. It just blows my mind, because it's like practical effects, and you're like, that doll is alive.
Yeah.
Which is funny, because then at the same time you're like, that they didn't just walk into the factory, but you're like, that doll is alive. But how they did it is just cool, and it's funny when you look at like the original Child's Play movie, and then you even look at the last movie, Cult of Chucky. from, when was that, last year, the year before? I think it was last year.
Yeah, something like
I
that.
mean, Chucky's a little beat up by now, of course, but he looks pretty much the same. You know, like the animatronics are still the same and stuff. You know, you're like, they did a pretty good job on that freaking doll 30 years ago.
Yeah, they did. And I thought, and it's kind of funny because Chucky he sort of, my perspective is he kind of took over when Freddy kind of got lame. Like everybody kind of got burned out with him by the end of the 80s, early 90s. And Chucky kind of filled in the gap, I think. He became the next cynical slasher, I guess, to take over with, because he had the one-liners and, he was sort of a trickster and a jokester, kind of along the lines of Freddy. And, the first 3 movies were kind of played up as straight horror, just with the, the obvious elements of comedy, like in terms of his one-liners and whatnot. But still, they were pretty cynical and dark. Whereas, obviously when Bride came along, they started going more towards the comedic approach. But yeah, I think this Child's Play 2 movie, I was actually, it's kind of a paint by numbers film where, like, you kind of know what to expect. Like there was never a time where you kind of know who's going to die and who's going to live just by, if you've seen a horror movie, you can kind of figure it out pretty quickly. It was cool because I hadn't seen it for a while, so watching it again was sort of like kind of a new experience, and I thought it was pretty cool too that I forgot that Jennifer Agutter was in this film from An American Werewolf in London. So that was kind of a cool little touch.
Oh, okay. I'm like, what? Who?
Remember?
No, she didn't jump out at me at all. I was more fixated on Christina Lease, who we kind of inadvertently met at Flashback Weekend last year.
Oh, yeah.
When we were hanging out with Felisa.
Funny. Yeah, that was her?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, no, Jennifer Agutter, she's she plays the foster mom, and she was the nurse in
Oh, okay. Yeah, I totally missed that, yeah.
Little older looking now, but like, she was super smoking back in American Werewolf in London.
We're going to have to start coming up with something for the, when we reference the hot chicks in the old movies. I think we get at least one in an episode.
I think we do. But yeah, I thought this was it was very enjoyable. I mean, it was, the basic storyline is, it's kind of, the doll, the situation from the first movie is sort of resolved with the company is concerned about the stockholders because this doll was connected to these murders, and so they have to go and try to rebuild the brand for the company, and they get the old doll, which, why would they do this? We got to throw logic out the door, and they basically scrape all the burn and all that from the doll and reproduce it and put Chucky together again. So he's basically in a fresh new doll body. As soon as he's put back together, it's basically off to the races. He's out looking for Andy, and then we find out that Andy has been put into the system, and he is going to be adopted out to a foster family. And that dad, the foster dad, he looked really familiar too. And I couldn't place who he was. I kept thinking he was Dr. Cruz from Friday the 13th, Part 7, but it's not him. He kind of had that sort of vibe, kind of that, like, I'm kind of a dickhead vibe to him. And I just couldn't totally figure out who he was, though.
Oh, well, he was in like a couple of like just low budget stuff, I think. Reincarnations of Star Trek.
Was he?
Yeah, like Star Trek, Deep Space Nine, and then like Star Trek Voyager. But then he was also in a couple of horror movies. But then I think he was in Terror Vision. So I mean, he ends up being one of those like guys that you see and you're like, man, that guy, he's familiar looking, but you can't really put your finger on it,
Oh, shit, he was in Chopping Mall. Crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Weird. Yeah, it looks like he was in a bunch of weird stuff.
Yeah, he's just one of those guys that, never, just bit parts, never really a lead by any stretch of the imagination, but one of those guys you just see like, oh, I know that guy from something.
Yeah, he was totally one of those characters. Like you once you see him, you're like, yeah, I've probably seen you 100 times in 100 different things.
Right.
Oh, and his name, by the way, is Garrett Graham. And then Andy was played by the same kid who he played Andy in all the films, even like the ones that came out just recently.
Right.
Which is kind of cool.
Yeah, and he was at Flashback Weekend last year.
He was.
And I kind of regret not, like, at least it is like shaking his hand. I mean, but like I said, I think it was after Flashback Weekend where like I all of a sudden kind of like jumped on board with Child's Play, because I think we reviewed Child's Play like 2 years ago, and then I don't remember, like maybe it was like prepping for our Flashback Weekend episode or something, or I bet I know what it was, because we were getting ready for Flashback Weekend, and I watched a bunch of the movies like leading up to Flashback Weekend that different people were going to be there, and I think I watched Child's Play like that week, and I was like, damn, that's a good movie.
Child's Play 2 definitely felt like a 90s horror movie, in the sense that not like a later 90s, like when we get into Scream and I Know What You Did Last Summer, where it was that kind of teeny bop thing. This was like that early 90s transition out of the 80s horror. This was more like along the lines of like The People Under the Stairs, Play 2, but it just had that sort of, you could feel the vibe that it was that transition into the early 90s, and just by the way the characters looked, and the way the way it was filmed, it just had that early 90s vibe. I mean, before it became like the real teeny bopper thing that we got later again with the WB kids. And I think in a sense like that era to me was I wasn't a big fan of that era for horror. It just it was sort of like the slump. Like you could even see it at this point where a lot of things were starting to change. Like the franchises we loved were coming to an end, and there was a lot of, transformation in the horror genre.
So we've already talked about a couple of times kind of comparing Child's Play with A Nightmare on Elm Street. There's some stuff going on right now with the Child's Play franchise, and I was reading I shouldn't say I was reading an article. I kind of heard some rumors online from Robert Englund earlier today and over this weekend. So I think that the Child's Play franchise and the A Nightmare on Elm Street franchise might have a lot more in common if some of the stuff actually does come true. And so I think maybe we should give a little bit of history on this, because we'll probably talk about this more in the future as well. But Child's Play as a whole is kind of an interesting franchise, because Child's Play is, it's the product of Don Mancini, who came up with Chucky, and he's written all, like I said before, he's written all of the Child's Play movies up to this point. Later this year, there is a remake of Child's Play being produced that I would assume probably breaks off of the story a little bit. Don Mancini has nothing to do with it. I think they offered him like an executive producer role, and he was like, shove it up your ass, kind of a thing. And at the same time, though, Don Mancini is actively in the process of producing some sort of TV series. I think it's going to be like on Sci-Fi or something. I thought I heard, maybe that's wrong, but maybe that was Critters. I don't remember. I don't know what's going where. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on right now, but they are making a Child's Play TV series that is like a continuation of the Child's Play movies, but at the same time, there is a remake being made. Don Mancini's not involved with that at all, and he's not writing it. He's not giving any input to it. I'm sure it's going to be horrible. But at the same time, there's supposed to be some other movies coming out, so I think it's going to be the first time we're going to see in horror history that you have a remake that comes out while at the same time the original series is still thriving, or at least still exists, because there is going to probably be more Chucky movies that come out. Because another thing with the Child's Play movies is Brad Dourif has always been Chucky in all of the Child's Play movies, and all 7 of the Child's Play movies. Well, all 7 of the Chucky movies. There were 3 Child's Play movies and then 4 Chucky movies. But supposedly Robert Englund has finally come out and said, after him swearing off that he was never going to be Freddy Krueger again, that he would like to make another Freddy Krueger movie.
Didn't that have something to do with the success of this last Halloween film? It
could have. And if everybody knows, like with Halloween and Friday the 13th and all those stuff, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, A Nightmare on Elm Street has been remade. I mean, what was that, 10 years ago now?
Gosh, yeah, it must have
So
been.
If they bring Robert Englund back, they're going to probably continue off of the original storyline, so that would kind of be cool, but I don't know. It's such a weird time for horror, because we're in this whole, like, retconning, like, all the sequels time frame, but at the same time, you have all of this love for the originals, that is coming out, and people are like, oh, Robert Englund's going to be Freddy Krueger? That would be amazing. Do you know how much money that would make? Which is kind of weird, because I think the last couple of Nightmare on Elm Street movies probably didn't do that well at the theaters. But I don't know. It's a weird time for horror, man.
It really is. Yeah, we're in this bizarre phase of who knows what's happening. It's like they're bringing, they remade everything, and now it's like, we don't want to remake it. Let's just bring back the original guys out of retirement and put them back up. So, yeah, it's a very bizarre time.
So, when it comes to Child's Play 2, I'm going to say I give this one a big old thumbs up. This is definitely a movie worth checking out. Just do it. If you got any love for dolls at all, check it out. And the other thing I will say too, if you're a child of the 80s, like me and Mark, and maybe you're not like the biggest horror fan, which if you're not a big horror fan, I don't know why you would be listening to this show. Probably the third act of this movie, we were talking about being in the doll factory. If you are a Garbage Pail Kids fan at all, I think that would appeal to you too, because that was one of the things that reminded me of, was like Garbage Pail Kids for some reason.
Yeah, that's too funny. I was just thinking that. Like, I was thinking, that sort of, this would be like the R-rated Garbage Pail Kids. It kind of has that vibe to it, like, that sort of cynical, sinister humor that, totally makes sense.
So you give it thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs?
I'm going to definitely give this one a thumbs up. This is, again, this isn't like a classic film. It's kind of a follow up to the original, which I think is obviously the better film. But yeah, it's enjoyable. It does what it's supposed to do. I think it's a pretty damn good beer and popcorn film, I think you can get yourself some Budweiser and some popcorn and kick back and watch Child's Play 2. I think it's, I have to give it a thumbs up for what it is.